Hello, I'm Joy. I'm here at one of the jewelry benches in our metalsmith shop here at the Houston Gem and Mineral Society. I will be showing you a few of the basic techniques and skills, some of the things that people in the shop can make and that you can make too. And turn your ideas into lovely jewelry. If you need to trim, you can always use tin snips to cut the silver. And for the parts that can't be gotten by the tin snips, you can always take a file too. Right. So I am trying to get this half round wire to get into a ring shape. I'm going for a size 7 ring. And so I'm going to leave a little bit of space so that this setting will be able to lay on that. And if I need to have it a bit flatter, then I would simply hammer it down. So I cut it so I can go ahead and hammer it into the shape that I want. Make sure that the entire band is circular. Make sure I'm staying at a size 7. Sort of gently tapping it in parts and then a little bit harder in other parts. And you might need to go up a little bit because the goal is when this drops down, you want it to go to 7. Right now it's a bit closer to an 8. So I'll probably do a little closer because the silver will spring back just a little bit. And plus, if you make it a little bit small, it's easier to expand it than it is to cut away silver and resolder it to make it smaller. Now that's a little bit more like it. I'm just going to do a bit more hammering. Right now it's at a 7.5. So I'll just do a little bit more hammering. Now it's right at a 7. And I'll file down this part right here so the setting can lie flat on it when I solder it together. Right, so I'm just sticking a bit in the flex shaft that has a square head that allows me to change out with different wheels that has different amount of coarseness. This one is about a medium coarseness, and I'm going to use it to file down this part to where it's flat for my setting to lay on. So now when I lay it on top, it should be relatively flat and flush. And I will be using a tool to help hold this up so it doesn't fall down while I'm trying to place it on the ring. All right, so I used a tool that's called the third hand to hold up the shank of the ring so that it's pressing against the silver setting. Now, in order to help the solder flow to where I want it, I am using a solution called Flux. Just do a little bit in each spot where I want the solder to go. There we go. Now I'm going to put some solder. You really only need a small piece of solder for each joint, so I'm going to cut 2 small squares. So I'm just putting the solder in place next to where it is going to be joining. And this is where we introduce the fire. Alright, don't want it to be too high. I'm just going to adjust it a little bit. You can see where the fire comes into contact with the flux. It's starting to boil it, make it dry up. So that's why it develops that little bit of foam right there. So I'm heating around the piece as much as I can with this third hand. So I'm just going back and forth, not heating the piece directly, but going around it. That's what the fire brick is for, to help the heat be evenly distributed. And I will just go very quickly on the piece just to heat up those areas. And the solder will flow in whatever direction the heat is coming from. So if I want the solder to flow more inwards towards the shank, then I'll want to make sure that I hit it with some heat from the inside as well as the outside. You can see how it's getting sort of discolored from the flame, but that will easily come off in the chemical pickle, and then once you polish or sand it. You see that right there? The little square of solder sort of puddled into a shiny puddle, and that's when you know that it is flowing. Just heating up from the inside a little here to make sure that it's flowing in that direction inward. And I believe that it has taken. So we'll turn the torch off, and then I'll grab the copper tongs to put it in the pickle. Right, and it will sit in the pickle for a few minutes so that I can work on getting the fire scale off of it. All right, so now I'm taking a cylindrical bit and I'm going to be polishing down these sides so that it's nice and smooth on the inside. And you can already tell how it's now more flush with the setting than it was before. So the ring won't be finished today because I still need to set the stone, but this is an example of a stone that has been set in a finished setting. I did it as a necklace with the bail. And it is now ready for wearing.